Hello everyone and welcome to Beamish Bookworms. If you recall, we were reading the classic Frankenstein. If you haven't watched part 1, I think it would be a good idea to watch it before reading this one with me. The link to part 1 is provided in the description given below. Let's proceed now with the story. Chapter 6: Disillusionment and Henry's Visit. After staying in the courtyard for the entire night, I finally awoke around 7 in the morning. All wet and tired after the disturbance during the night, I had lost the will to do anything. I collected all the strength that I had and I tried to stand on my feet. I instantly felt the urge to run as far as possible from that place. I found myself on the streets as if I had gone crazy, not knowing where I wanted to go or what I wanted to do. I had decided to not go to my apartment where I had created that dreadful monster. I was scared and roamed aimlessly in the city, never to return to my house where that monster might be waiting for my return. Much later, while wandering, I saw an inn. Travelers in coaches stopped while going in and out of the city. I kept standing there and noticed that there was a coach that had come from Geneva. Suddenly, I came across a familiar face. And to my surprise, it was my dear friend Henry, waving and smiling at me. He rushed out of the coach to shake my hand. "It is really good to see you after such a long time. But how did you know I was coming here, Victor?" he asked. "I didn't. It is a pleasant surprise, Henry. You've come at the right time," said I. I was so happy to see Henry that I forgot all that had happened. Henry had convinced his father to allow him to pursue his thirst for knowledge, traveling around the world. He had come to Ingolstadt to study at the university and to pursue his dreams like I did. After I met Henry, I remembered my family and realized that I had not seen any of my family members for a long time. I asked Henry, "You must know how my family is. Please tell me, Henry." "Your family is fine, so don't worry. But I must tell you that while you were here, everyone was worried about you in Geneva." "Why did you not write any letters?" asked Henry. "I was busy with something," I replied with a sigh. "Victor, you don't seem fine. Are you in good health?" Henry asked. "I'm not ill, just exhausted, working tirelessly on a difficult project. But it has finished now," I said with finality. While walking towards home, we talked about various things. But on reaching my place, excitement turned into anxiety. I broke into a cold sweat, thinking of what might be waiting for Henry and me in the apartment. What if the monster was still there? I briskly ran upstairs to check if the creature was still there, and if it was, then it was necessary to stop Henry from finding my disastrous creation. Trembling with fear, I turned the knob and opened the door. He was gone. Sighing with relief, I called Henry inside. I started laughing, and I laughed wildly, which confused and frightened Henry. But when I began jumping over things and clapping my hands like a madman, Henry shook me again and again, holding me by my shoulders. I was behaving as if I had lost my mental balance, rolling my eyes, acting in a weird manner. "Come to your senses, Victor. What is wrong with you?" exclaimed Henry. Hallucinating that the monster was right there, standing at the doorway, I gestured towards it and cried, He, that monster! He's the real cause of my madness. You have to save me, Henry. I don't want to die." Henry was perturbed to see my condition. The following months passed in a haze, but I can never forget how devotedly Henry cared for me, without once letting my family know about my terrible state. All this while, my dark dreams continued, and I couldn't get the monster out of my head. Henry thought it was sheer madness, but he didn't know the source of it. It was only due to Henry's devotion and kindness that I started to recover. The grim and dismal me was fading away. I was returning to being my own self, spirited and happy. I was thankful to Henry, who didn't go to university, but was by my side when I needed him, saving me from complete insanity. When I recovered fully, I took Henry to the university to introduce him to my fellow students and professors. Professor Waldman was glad to meet Henry and praised my progress in the subject. But this made me wonder if producing a monster was really progress. The praise hurt my ears. Henry could see I was uneasy and changed the topic of discussion. How could I tell him? How could I burden him with my secret? I thought it would be better to keep it to myself rather than trouble Henry. Henry was intelligent and quick to understand that even the instruments in my laboratory made me uncomfortable. Without even asking me, he quietly collected all the instruments, removed them from my side, and locked the room. I had made up my mind to leave my pursuit and studies after that horrific disaster. To pass my time, I read Henry's Oriental Languages at the university. Together we studied languages, enjoyed the beautiful works of Persian writers, and appreciated the countryside during our long walks. A year passed, leading me away from the reality of the terror I had created. Eventually, I forgot about the monster. Chapter 7. The Letter. It was a summer morning when I received a letter from my father after coming back from a walk. I quickly opened it and started reading. Geneva, May 13th. Dear son, as you know, we have all been looking forward to your visit. But there is something I have to tell you. We are all in deep grief, as your dear brother William has been brutally murdered by someone. This dreadful incident took place last Friday evening. You all, Elizabeth, William, and Ernest, had gone for a stroll in the forests of Plain Palace, one of your favorite places since childhood. The two boys were in a playful mood and were joyfully sprinting ahead of us while we followed them leisurely. They started playing hide and seek as Elizabeth and I sat and talked in the park. When we thought it was time to go, came to us searching for William, who had gone to hide somewhere but couldn't be found. Then we also searched for hours, but to no avail. We came home dejected, but sent people with torches to the woods to carry on with the search. We didn't sleep all night, worried about William's safety. Then we received the sad news that William's body had been found. I went there, and it was heart-wrenching to see the body of my lovely dear child lying on the forest grass. Tears welled in my eyes, and I carried little William back home. It was hard to control Elizabeth, who continually blamed herself for allowing him to wear his mother's chain, which we thought was the cause for robbery and the murder of our William, after we found some finger marks on his neck with the chain missing. Poor Elizabeth couldn't endure the loss and fainted. The murderer is still at loose. Please, Victor, come home. We can't bear this suffering alone. We need you. Your father, Alphonse Frankenstein. My eyes flooded with tears as I finished reading. I couldn't believe that my little brother was murdered in cold blood. Who could do this? My mind stopped working and I was numb for some time. Henry came into the room and asked, "Victor, why are you crying? Is everything okay?" I was not in a condition to reply and handed him the letter. He read the letter and both of us sobbed together for the innocent young life lost. Chapter 8. The monster came back. Without any delay, I left for Geneva in a carriage. Throughout the journey, memories of the beautiful past and the naive face of William filled my heart with sorrow. By the time I reached Geneva, it was night and the city gates were closed, so I had to stay at an inn near Lake Geneva for the night. I tried in vain to sleep, for my mind was riddled with queries. Giving up, I decided to take a boat and sail across the lake to go to the woods of Plain Palace, the place where my brother was killed. I thought I would find some clues which could lead me to the murderer. Nervous yet determined, I finally reached the shore to find a lightning storm approaching the mountains. In no time, it started raining heavily, with flashes of lightning adding to the frightening atmosphere of the forest. As I was pulling my boat onto the shore, I thought I saw someone standing near the dark mountainside. I moved a little nearer, and even the figure moved out from behind the thick trees. I froze to the spot. Who was it? Out in such bad weather? All my doubts were cleared when a sudden flash of lightning exposed the stranger's face. It was a monster! My hideous creation! How did he come here? Where was he all this time? Was he following me? And was he responsible for my brother's murder? I quivered at this thought. Was I responsible for creating this demon and for my brother's death? I knew the answer. It was him. No human could have committed such a horrible act. Only such a monster would have heartlessly murdered an innocent child. My head began to swim and I felt weak in the knees. Trying to stand leaning on a tree, I saw the monster going up the mountain, climbing the rocks with an incredible speed. I started chasing him, but he was too fast for a human like me. In seconds he vanished, and I just stood there, thinking of the dreadful night he came to life. Why did I do it? I could do nothing now, and guilt for what I had done tore me apart. He had killed my brother, and I was sure that this was not the only crime he had committed. He was a monster on the loose, out to hurt and kill innocent people. I shuddered at this thought, and I spent the night in agony on the mountainside. I reached Geneva with a heavy heart and a guilty mind. I contemplated telling the police to search for the creature and kill him. But was this possible? I was sure the police would not believe my story, take me to be a madman, and surely institutionalize me. I gave up the option of alerting the police, so I had no clue about what had to be done to stop the monster. He was superior in strength, agility, and stature than an average human being. It was impossible to catch him. Okay, we will have to stop here. The story, as you can see, is getting darker by the minute. Victor was so obsessed with creating the monster that he didn't think of the repercussions of his ghastly deed. He didn't dwell at all on the fact that once alive, what will he do with that monster? He realizes his mistake only when it's too late. His little brother is murdered, and the finger of accusation is pointed at the monster. Is he the cold-blooded murderer? Let's find out next time. And now for the difficult words which we encountered while we were reading. These are all the underlined words. Yes? Here we go. Hallucinating, perturbed, grim, dismal, pursuit, brutally, dreadful, sprinting, leisurely, dejected, heart-wrenching, endure, naive, riddled, hideous, quivered, agony, contemplated, institutionalize, and agility. Please find out the meanings of all these words and write them down. Try to make sentences using the same. Okay? Good. From Beamish Bookworms, till next time, happy reading, everyone. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please do like and subscribe to Beamish Bookworms. Please press the bell icon to get notified when a new story comes out. Meanwhile, happy reading, everyone!